What's going on, folks? I watched the video on Facebook, and I couldn't stomach to watch all of it. But I have a good knack for kind of glossing over things and kind of summarizing. Now, some of you all may say, "Well, Painless, that's dangerous. One needs to really look at it in its totality to formulate some type of opinion." And that is true. But in this instance, uh, the video spoke all and showed everything I needed to know. It had a group of white people kneeling at the feet of a group of black people. I believe this was in Houston, Texas. Some of you all probably are familiar with the very video that I'm talking about. And I thought that was, I kind of chuckled. And I went through, some people had the smiling emoji. And I went through, I do things like that. I'm pretty sure you all do it too. And I looked at some of the comments. And I thought it was hilarious, to say the least. I've talked about disingenuous liberals, Caucasian types, and the things that they have done to kind of make black folks feel that they are somehow an outcast ethnic group in America. That some of the historical things that have happened to black folks systematically still goes on. Look, I'll just say this. I don't need anyone speaking on behalf of me. Painless, I'm not some downtrodden individual that needs that needs special circumstances, that needs to be put in a advantageous position because of who I look like or what I look like. Um, I see all these things going on with these riots. You have people who are unemployed because of this virus that is still on the table. You have people that are bored. You have people, older people out here, 55, 51, 46, getting arrested for vandalism. Getting arrested for vandalism at 47 years old. Really? Really? What I was getting at is what you have is a combination of what I just mentioned, a gang of unemployed people mixed with this millennial, I'm entitled, I'm offended culture, mixed with older people that are bored, older people that are trying to relive. Peep this. You ever been, and I reference uh, some of my past experiences. Many of y'all know I visited. I have family in South Central Austin. I still call it South Central. And it's just like the old homie in the neighborhood who probably didn't really get off in his heyday. He probably stayed in the house, did a little stint in the pen or whatever. And now that he is in his late 30s, now he wants to do the most in front of the young homies. You're 38 now, you're talking about putting in work. You're talking about representing your neighborhood. I mean, when you was 17, 19, 21, where you supposed to, if you're in that life, that's when you're really supposed to be putting it down. You were MIA, missing in action, failure to report for duty as a gangster. That's how I look at these older vandals. I mean, I'm seeing salt and pepper hair dudes running around with Target shopping carts. Jordans at 35 years old. Your ASS is supposed to be in the house. So you have this entitlement. Yeah, and I see a lot of doxing going on the internet. Oh my gosh. And I just found out what doxing is. Apparently, it's been around for a couple years. It basically putting someone on blast because you don't like what they say, which to me is very weak. I could think of a million other things that I could be doing than looking up where someone lives, where they work, over some shit that they said on the internet that I potentially didn't like. And see, to me, that type of stuff is weak. That stuff is weak. And what you have millions of Americans that they love to throw a rock and hide their hand, and then when they get caught, they can't handle the consequences. I saw somebody say, because what you have a lot of dry snitching going on, and I use that term interchangeably. And I don't run around painless. I do not, myself painless, I do not use that word in public. I use it for all intents and purposes of my viewers, and to kind of make some little satire to this. A lot of people are dry snitching. Dry snitching is pretty much telling without telling, like some passive aggressive telling, like, how can I put it? It's like this. This is dry snitching. Perfect example. Say I smoke marijuana, okay? I walk in a room and somebody's like, oh, somebody reeking up in here. That's dry snitching. You didn't say it was me, but just the fact that you put it in the universe, I guess you could say, that is dry snitching. That's a perfect example of dry snitching. But you have a lot of people telling on the internet because they don't like what people say. Someone said something like, it's kind of like, oh, those protesters, these protesters, they're like, we should arrest them all. That's why they get shot. So what people now is taking their Facebook and blasting it all on the internet and saying we need to report her or him and get him fired. See, to me, that's weak. That is so lame. Cause you so in your feelings that you want to get somebody's livelihood taken. Now that's this in passing. Now, with that being said, there's consequences. That's why I say, what you do on the internet never die. Even the very videos that I'm doing now, they never die. But we take the risk over somebody who's offended. I've had people try to dox me back in the day. That's why I kind of don't reveal much, because I don't trust people really like that. I'm very selective. Very selective. I'm selective, but that's another video. But, you have this generation that they love to complain, but they can't handle the consequences. So the only thing they know how to do is tell and complain and whine. Like, you'll never, and I'm of the opinion, man, and I said this, when you have diversity, when you have groups of people, you're always going to have racism. You're always going to have some form of racism or prejudice. You're not going to racism will never go away in America. Any place that there's diversity, groups of people vying, scrimping and scraping for a piece of their pie, deservedly so, self-preservation, you're always going to have it. You're not getting rid of it. Taking down Confederate statues won't do nothing. Nothing at all. So we're running up a hill that's drenched in oil. We're not going nowhere. Trying to run up an icy mountain. You're not, it ain't happening. And like I said, for me, I don't like to be feeling like a victim. Like I did about the black men crying on TV, which is weak to me. We all cry, but I'll be damned if somebody gonna see me crying on TV. I don't need any type of special treatment because I'm a black man. I don't need any type of mental health treatment because I feel uh, some kind of way because I think the world stereotypes me. You don't need to check up on me. You don't need to evaluate me. You do not need to do that for painless. And I think you have these talking heads that come up with these ideas. And I'm like, nah, I'm not having it. Nah, I'm not for myself. I mean, I've said this before. We've been given so much in this country as black people, deservedly so. What else is there to do? Speak about the brother George Floyd. There's a possibility, he may have been under the influence of something. And when you're under the influence of something, you're not thinking right. Now you had the owner of that store, an Arab man who called the police about a counterfeit $20 bill. And let me just say about the $20 bill. Possibly he could have got that $20 bill from someone else at the bank. Let's just say let's give it the benefit of the doubt. All right. You under the influence going to a store to buy cigarettes in the middle of the day. Harmless? I don't know. Maybe he could have killed somebody. Who knows how inebriated he was or intoxicated, whatever it may be. Nevertheless, that's an infraction. That is a negative. You run the risk of having exactly what happened to brother George Floyd. He ran into the police, just simply going to get some cigarettes. Not a wise decision. Not a wise decision to get in your car while you've been drinking. Have we done it? Yeah. But when you get to a certain age, you're supposed to, like I said, with these 46-year-old, imagine 46 years old and you got a case on you about vandalism and disorderly conduct at 52 years old. That shit is embarrassing. That shit is embarrassing. But yeah, like I said, when you get up to a certain age, there's some things you're supposed to pipe down and stop doing. Drinking and driving is something you probably shouldn't be doing anyway, ever. But if you 40 and up, you shouldn't be drinking and driving. And I just threw a number out there. There's some things you shouldn't be doing in your 30s, but you definitely shouldn't be out here vandalizing and drinking and driving. You bring unnecessary heat to you when you do shit like that. And then when you get caught up, things like, it's all about choices, man. That's what a lot of black men lack, proper decision making. It ain't got nothing to do with no racism. Poor decision making. And I can directly attribute that to lack of proper male, because remember I said quality versus quantity. You can go to West Side Chicago. You can go to Inglewood, California, East Side Detroit, South Dallas. You see plenty of brothers shuffling around, not doing nothing. But the quality of black men is what's lacking. We're poor quality as black men. You got, like I said, you got these older guys still trying to relive their heyday, 53 years old. You should be out of the neighborhood. You're in the neighborhood, still wearing Dickies and Cortez and Chucks and T-shirts, long white T-shirts with salt and pepper in your beard, trying to tick off something. You should be schooling. If you're going to stay in the neighborhood, you need to be on the bench. No, you should be retired in the house trying to promote peace and kick knowledge down to these young guys. Or say, if you're going to do this stuff, if you're going to be in the life of gangsterism, be smart about it. If you don't want to promote peace, promote being educated in how you move in these streets. But no, you want to, you know, I'll tell you, man. But yeah, this whole exposing people and weak shit like that, and because you don't like what somebody says on the internet, that shit is so, just make you want to, yeah, I tell you, man. Like I said, these people don't know, these millennials and all these hipster, old hippies, they don't know consequence. There's consequences when you try to expose somebody and then you get ran up on. And, you know, the very people who they despise are the very people they run to and hope that they can protect. So you say F the cops, but then when someone who doesn't believe that says you shouldn't say that, and then you try to screenshot and expose them and send their information to their employer because they said something you didn't like, then that person finds out who you are, what you did. Now you want to run to them very people who you said you didn't care about, who should die. Now you looking to them for protection. Where the hell they do that shit at? I'm saying the moral is, if you're gonna do some stuff like that, be ready to protect yourself. Because if I'm a cop, I'm just saying this is this human nature. If I'm a cop, especially now in this climate, if I'm a police and you done some just some weird stuff like that, like looking people up and sending it to their employer because you don't like what they say, and I find out why, because you was saying F the police, and you try to expose somebody who said you shouldn't say that, blase, blase, I'm going to feel a different type of way. I'm just saying. I may not demonstrate it, but in the back of my mind, I just took a mental note and said, oh, you one of these SJWs. All right, F me, huh? And I think that's one of the worst things you could say to somebody is F you. I done seen a lot of people get punched on for, oh, F me? Okay. Yeah, you shouldn't run around saying that to people. You know, you got to be very careful with your word selection. But, yeah, I just wanted to do this video, kind of get some things off my mind. But Payless out.